They thought they were burying you, but they didn't realize you were a seed. The universe has a way of balancing itself, making sure that those who plant thorns in your path eventually walk barefoot on their own destruction. Every action has a consequence, and those who tried to break you will face the weight of what they've done. Think about it. Have you ever noticed how those who scheme, betray, and sabotage always seem to end up trapped in their own chaos? That's not coincidence. That's life keeping its balance. They wanted to see you fail. They worked in the shadows to dim your light. But in doing so, they only made you shine brighter. Every attack against you was an unintentional gift. Every attempt to hold you down forced you to rise stronger. The irony? The very fire they set to burn you became the fire that forged you. Your existence haunts them because it reminds them of their own failure. While they wasted their energy trying to bring you down, you kept climbing. And now they can't escape the bitter truth. You were never their competition. You were their proof of what they could have been. They didn't hate you because of what you did. They hated you because of who you are. The power of being chosen isn't just about success. It's about survival. It's about being unbreakable in a world that tried to shatter you. They thought they were writing your downfall, but all they did was set the stage for your rise. And now, the only thing left for them is regret. So if you feel this truth in your soul, if you've walked through the fire and refused to burn, then this is your space. Subscribe, stay connected, and let's continue proving them wrong. Because while they drown in their bitterness, you're only getting started. Number 1, don't chase the illusion. The truth about being chosen. Being chosen is a paradox, a cruel, twisted contradiction that only those who live it can truly understand. From the outside, it looks like a gift, a golden path lined with admiration and success. They assume it's a privilege, a fate kissed by fortune. But what they don't see is the cost. People admire the strength, but they never ask about the pain that built it. They applaud the victories, but ignore the silent wars that had to be fought. They assume you were just lucky, but luck has nothing to do with it. You were chosen, not for comfort, but for battle. And that battle started long before you even realized who you were. What they don't understand is that being chosen doesn't mean you were the strongest. It means you were tested the hardest. It means everything in your life has felt relentless, unfair, even inescapable. It means that every time you tried to rise, something tried to pull you back. The betrayal, the loneliness, the constant feeling that the world was stacked against you, it wasn't bad luck. It was the weight of being different. You never belonged to the crowd, and that scared people. They saw something in you, a fire, a presence, a force, that they either couldn't understand or couldn't control. And when people fear what they can't control, they try to break it. That's why they pushed you down, tried to make you doubt yourself, made you feel like an outcast. But here's the part they never expected. You didn't break. Sure, you felt the pain, the nights that felt endless, the betrayals that cut deeper than any wound, the moments when you looked in the mirror and questioned if you were even meant to keep going. But you did. You kept going when others would have crumbled. And that is exactly why you were chosen. Being chosen means being shaped by fire. It means that your trials weren't punishments, they were preparation. You weren't given an easy road because easy roads don't lead to greatness. Every setback, every enemy, every storm you faced, it wasn't meant to destroy you. It was meant to forge you into something unstoppable. And that's what terrifies them the most. The same people who tried to keep you small are now watching as you rise. The ones who doubted you are being forced to witness your success. And the ones who betrayed you, they have to live with the truth that they didn't break you. They only made you more powerful. You don't walk the same path as everyone else because you weren't meant to. Your story is different. Your struggle is different. And because of that, your future will be different. The suffering wasn't random. The isolation wasn't meaningless. It was all leading you somewhere extraordinary. Number 2, the war you can't see is the one destroying you. Here's how to fight back. They never came at you with fists or weapons. They didn't have to. The war waged against you was silent, invisible, a slow, calculated attempt to break your mind, not your body. No scars to prove the damage, no evidence of the battle. And that's what made it so insidious. They attacked in ways no one else could see. A cruel word at the right moment. A manipulation so subtle you didn't notice until it was too late. A betrayal that made you question everything you ever believed in. They planted doubts like poison in your mind, waiting for you to self-destruct. Their goal was never just to hurt you. It was to make you doubt yourself so deeply that you'd destroy yourself for them. And for a while, maybe it worked. You second-guessed your worth. You found yourself caught in endless loops of overthinking. You blamed yourself for things you never caused. You tried to move on, but the echoes of their cruelty followed you everywhere. You smiled in public, kept going through the motions, and played the part of someone who had it all together. Meanwhile, inside, you were coming apart, piece by piece. That's the thing about invisible warfare. No one acknowledges it because they can't see it. They only see what's on the surface. They don't know how heavy the weight of it is, how it follows you into every moment of your life. And, worst of all, when you finally try to explain it, they act like you're imagining things. They call you sensitive. They say you're overreacting. They dismiss the battle they never had to fight. But here's what they didn't expect. You survived. They counted on you breaking. They wanted you to shrink, to feel small, to believe you had no escape. They wanted you to live your whole life inside the prison they built inside your mind. But instead, you fought back. Maybe it wasn't loud, maybe it wasn't all at once, but you refused to let them win. And now, the simple fact that you are still here, still standing, still pushing forward, is proof that they lost. They tried to make you doubt yourself, but now they are the ones questioning everything. They see you rising, and it terrifies them, because they know if you could survive the war they waged in the shadows, then nothing in this world can stop you. Number 3. Beware of silent killers, how envy turns people into your worst enemy. Envy is a sickness, a slow, rotting disease that eats people from the inside out. It doesn't announce itself with open hatred. No, it hides behind fake smiles, forced kindness, and empty praise. The people who tried to tear you down didn't do it because you wronged them. They did it because deep down, your existence was a reminder of everything they could never be. Think about it. They saw something in you, a spark, a strength, a potential that they lacked. And instead of using that as motivation, they chose destruction. Instead of rising, they decided to drag you down. That's what envy does. It makes people bitter, resentful, desperate to erase what they cannot have. But here's the part they'll never admit. They admired you before they hated you. At first, they watched in silence, studying your moves, seeing if you were real. Then, when they realized you weren't faking it, when they saw that your talent, your resilience, your growth was genuine, that's when the sickness took over. They started with doubt. Are you sure you're good enough? Maybe you should think smaller. Be more realistic. They wanted you to shrink yourself, to second-guess your abilities, to step back into a shadow where you wouldn't make them uncomfortable. And for a while, Maybe you did. Maybe their words crept into your mind, made you question your own power. But here's the irony. Envy never destroys the one being envied. It only destroys the one who carries it. While they wasted their time plotting against you, you kept growing. While they tried to dim your light, they only made it burn brighter. And now, the truth haunts them. You were never their competition. You were their reminder, a reminder of what was possible, a mirror reflecting back their own failures, their own wasted potential. That's why they wanted you gone, not because you were a threat to them, but because you exposed what they refused to face within themselves. But here's where the sickness turns fatal. They became so obsessed with your downfall that they forgot to build their own future. And now, while you rise, they sink deeper into the mess they created. You are living proof that no matter how much they tried to stop you, they failed. Number 4, the universe isn't punishing you, it's testing if you're ready. No one escapes the fire, but not everyone survives it. The world has a way of testing those who are meant for more, not with gentle lessons, not with simple challenges, but with trials so brutal they threaten to shatter you completely. If you felt like your life has been an endless series of hardships, betrayals, and suffering, know this: it's not random. It's a test, and only the strongest survive. The universe doesn't hand power to just anyone. It doesn't crown the weak. It forges warriors through fire, pressure, and destruction. Just like steel is beaten and burned to become unbreakable, you have been shaped by the very pain that was meant to destroy you. This isn't about being punished. It's about being prepared. Because the kind of strength that changes the world isn't given, it's earned, and that's what separates you from them. They never had to endure what you did. They live in comfort, in illusion, avoiding struggle because they were never meant for anything greater. But you've been dragged through storms, ripped apart, and left with nothing. And yet, here you stand, stronger, sharper, a force they can't comprehend. Here's the truth. Not everyone makes it through. Some people collapse under the weight of it all. They get lost in the pain, trapped in their suffering, never realizing that the storm was meant to build them, not break them. But if you're still here, still fighting, still refusing to be defeated, then you're proving something to yourself, to the universe, and to every single person who doubted you. You probably didn't sign up for this. No one asks to be tested this way. No one asks to be torn apart, forced to rebuild from nothing. But for reasons beyond your understanding, you were chosen. Something in you, your resilience, your power, your fire, made you different. You were never meant for an ordinary life, and that means your struggles were never ordinary either. One day, when you finally step into the power that was always meant for you, you'll understand why the suffering was necessary. The trials weren't there to hurt you. They were there to make sure you were ready. Because the weak don't survive fire. The chosen do. Number 5. Stop letting them rewrite your story. The hidden tactic to make you doubt yourself. They never wanted you to see your own power. From the moment you showed potential, they started planting doubts in your mind. Be humble, be realistic. Don't aim too high. They masked it as advice, as concern, as love. But it was none of those things. It was fear. Fear of what you could become if you ever stopped listening to their lies. Gaslighting your greatness is the oldest trick in the book. They don't come at you with chains or weapons. They don't have to. Instead, they make you doubt yourself until you willingly shrink, until you start questioning the very talents that set you apart. And the worst part? It usually starts with the people closest to you. Family, friends, teachers. The ones who should be lifting you higher are often the ones working hardest to keep you small. And then comes the world. Society loves obedience. It rewards conformity and crushes those who refuse to fit in. The moment you step out of line, they start labeling you difficult, arrogant, delusional. They don't want you thinking too highly of yourself, because if you did, if you truly understood the power inside you, you'd become someone they couldn't control. But here's what they don't tell you. The world doesn't gaslight what isn't a threat. They wouldn't work so hard to convince you you're nothing unless, deep down, they knew you were something. Something they fear. The most dangerous part. If you hear a lie long enough, you might start believing it. You start second-guessing your own instincts, playing small, hiding your fire just to make others comfortable. You tell yourself maybe they're right, maybe you're not as special as you thought. But in the quiet moments, when the world fades away, you feel it, you know it. That spark inside you never died. It was just buried under layers of doubt, under years of conditioning designed to keep you from seeing the truth. And the truth is this: they didn't want you to believe in yourself, because if you did, you'd be unstoppable. Number 6. When they try to erase you, how to reclaim your humanity and fight back. They didn't just want to hurt you, they wanted to erase you. This was never about a simple betrayal or a passing cruelty. It was an attack on the very essence of who you are. The goal wasn't just to wound you, it was to make you disappear. They chipped away at you, little by little, hoping you wouldn't notice. They silenced your voice. They mocked your dreams. They ignored your pain, not because you were weak, but because they feared the strength hidden inside you. And the best way to destroy someone like you, make you doubt that you ever mattered. They wanted you hollow, empty, a shell of yourself. They hoped you would shrink, dim your own light, and blend into the background. Because if you forgot your worth, then they would never have to face the truth, that you were always meant to stand above them. This is what makes it a sickness beyond belief. Real cruelty doesn't just cause pain, it tries to rewrite reality. It makes you question your own existence. It tells you that your voice doesn't deserve to be heard, that your presence is too much, that your dreams are impossible. And over time, you might have started to believe it. You might have looked in the mirror and seen only what they wanted you to see. Something small, something broken, something forgettable. But here's the truth they never counted on. Dehumanization only works if you allow it. They thought stripping away your confidence, your joy, even your hope would leave you powerless. They underestimated the force inside you. They didn't understand that you were never just your circumstances. You were never just what they did to you. You were always something greater. Rising from this kind of darkness isn't easy. It takes time. It takes strength. It takes a level of defiance they will never understand. But every single step you take toward reclaiming yourself is a direct rebellion against their sickness. Every moment you refuse to stay silent, every dream you dare to chase, every ounce of power you take back, it's proof. Proof that no matter what they did, you survived. Number 7. They can't understand why you're still standing. Here's why that terrifies them. They thought they had you finished, broken, defeated. They spent their energy trying to shatter you, convinced that you wouldn't rise again. They schemed, manipulated, and threw every weapon they had: betrayal, cruelty, isolation, expecting to watch you crumble under the weight of it all. And maybe for a moment, you did. Maybe you doubted yourself. Maybe you stayed down longer than you wanted. But here's what they never saw coming. You got back up. Nothing terrifies them more than your resilience. It doesn't make sense to them. They don't understand how you can still stand after everything they did to you, because they wouldn't have survived it themselves. They tried to break you from a place of weakness, projecting their fears and insecurities onto you, hoping that by crushing your spirit, They could feel powerful, but all they did was expose their own fragility. Your survival is an insult to them. Your ability to keep going despite the odds is a nightmare they never prepared for. They told themselves you were weak, yet you keep proving them wrong. They wanted to be the ones who controlled your story, but now they are nothing more than a forgotten chapter in your rise. What eats away at them is that they can't stop watching you. They tell themselves you got lucky, that you had it easier, that somehow the universe was unfair for allowing you to succeed. But deep down, they know the truth. They underestimated you. They thought they were writing your downfall, but all they did was set the stage for your greatest comeback. And now, the reality they never wanted to face is staring them in the eyes. You were never a victim. You were never weak. You were never theirs to destroy. They tried to bury you. They tried to silence you. But instead, they created something they will never be able to stop. Number 8. If people hate you for no reason, it's because you reflect what they fear. Being chosen is more than just living in this world. It means reflecting it back at people, exposing things they'd rather keep hidden. You don't have to say a word, don't have to point fingers. Your very existence is enough to shake them. You force them to see their own fears, weaknesses, and regrets. And for most people, that's too much to bear. They don't just see you, they see a reflection of everything they failed to become. Your ambition reminds them of their wasted potential. Your strength reminds them of every time they gave up. Your ability to survive what should have destroyed you makes them question their own excuses. And they hate you for it. Not because you did anything to them, but because you exist as proof that they could have done more. That's why being chosen is not just a path, it's a burden. It's why people resent you without reason. It's why they whisper behind your back, roll their eyes at your success, or even try to sabotage you. Not because of what you've done, but because of what you represent. Instead of facing their own shortcomings, it's easier for them to project their anger onto you. Instead of working on themselves, it's easier to convince themselves that you're the problem. But here's the truth. Mirrors don't lie. You didn't create their insecurities. You just exposed them. And that's why they'll never be able to break you. Because no matter how hard they try to shatter the reflection, it's their own truth they're fighting against. Yes, being a mirror is lonely. You might find yourself misunderstood, pushed away, or even hated. But that's the price of seeing clearly in a world built on illusions. And while some people will reject what they see in you, others will be awakened by it. They will recognize their own hidden strength, their own potential, because your existence reminds them of what's possible. So never shrink yourself to make others comfortable. Never dim your light because it makes people uneasy. The world needs mirrors, even if people don't want to look. Number 9. Seeing the truth will cost you, but here's why you can't look away. The truth is a blade, sharp, unforgiving, and impossible to put back once you've held it. Once you see the world for what it is, there is no return to blissful ignorance. And that, chosen one, is both your power and your curse. Most people live behind a veil of illusion, choosing comfort over reality, pretending the world is fair, that people are kind, and that deception is just a rare misstep. But you know better. You've seen the darkness behind their smiles, the hidden motives behind their kindness, the way the system is designed to keep people blind, compliant, and weak. You've seen the sickness for what it is, and for that, you walk alone. The deeper your trials, the sharper your vision. The betrayals, the losses, the nights spent questioning everything, they stripped away the illusion that others still cling to. You tried to explain, to warn them, to open their eyes. But instead of gratitude, you were met with resistance. They called you cynical, paranoid, even delusional, because the truth is heavy and most people aren't strong enough to carry it. So you became an outsider, not by choice but by understanding. The more you saw, the more distant you felt. It's lonely at the top, but it's even lonelier at the truth. But here's what they don't realize. This loneliness isn't weakness. It's proof of your strength. While they hide from reality, you face it head on. While they drown in their own illusions, you rise above them. And though it may feel isolating now, understand this. Every great mind, every leader, every true force of change has walked this path. The ones who see clearly will always be misunderstood until the moment they prove everyone wrong. And that moment is coming. Because the world needs people like you, people who see through the lies, who refuse to be controlled, who stand firm even when the truth is uncomfortable. Without you, the sickness spreads unchecked. Without you, the cycle continues. So wear your isolation like armor. The loneliness? It's not a burden. It's a sign that you are built differently. And soon, the very people who dismissed you will have no choice but to see the truth you've always known. Number 10. Strength feels like a curse until you realize the power it gives you. They admire your strength, but they don't understand its weight. They see someone who keeps pushing forward, someone who never crumbles, never surrenders. But what they don't see is the price you paid to become this unbreakable. People love the idea of resilience, but they don't want to acknowledge what creates it. Strength isn't something you were given, it's something you were forced to build. Every battle you fought wasn't for glory, it was for survival. Every scar you carry isn't a badge of honor, it's a reminder of the wars you never asked to fight. They assume strength means you feel nothing, that pain doesn't reach you, that setbacks don't shake you. But the truth, you felt everything. The betrayals that cut like knives, the loneliness that hollowed you out, the exhaustion of constantly having to prove yourself when all you wanted was peace. But here's what they don't understand. You never had a choice. You weren't given the luxury of weakness. The world tested you again and again, trying to break you, waiting to see if you'd give up. But you didn't. You kept standing, kept fighting, kept proving them wrong, and that's what terrifies them. They romanticize strength, thinking it's effortless, thinking it's something to envy. But they don't realize true strength is built on suffering. Every time they thought they destroyed you, they were actually sharpening you. Every time they tried to push you down, they unknowingly gave you the resistance that made you rise even higher. And now, you're unstoppable. They don't see the burden behind your resilience. They don't see the nights when the weight of it all nearly crushed you. They don't see the moments you questioned if you could keep going. All they see is the warrior you became, and it burns them inside because they could never endure what you did. The irony? The same people who tried to destroy you now stand in awe of your strength, but they'll never understand it. They'll never know what it took to become the force that you are today. You weren't chosen because you were the strongest. You became the strongest because you were chosen. Number 11. Stop carrying their poison. Why forgiveness is the ultimate weapon. Forgiveness is a weapon, but not the kind they expect. They wanted you to stay trapped in the pain they caused, to carry their poison in your veins forever. They thought that by hurting you they could own a piece of your soul, that their betrayal would echo in your mind until your last breath. But here's where they failed. They underestimated you. Forgiveness isn't about setting them free. It's about setting yourself free. When you hold on to rage, when you replay the betrayal, when you let their actions define your emotions, they still win. Every time you let anger consume you, they still have a grip on your mind. And that's exactly what they want. They don't just want to hurt you once, they want to live rent-free in your thoughts, controlling you from a distance. But what happens when you refuse to play their game? What happens when you decide, no, you don't get to own me, not even in my memories? That's when you take everything back. That's when you destroy them in a way they never saw coming, by becoming untouchable. Forgiveness is not weakness. It's the ultimate rejection of their control. It doesn't mean you forget, and it doesn't mean you excuse what they did. It means you rise above it. You strip their power away and leave them with nothing but their own bitterness. While they drown in the hatred they tried to fill you with, you walk free. They wanted to break you. Instead, they built your strength. They wanted to see you stay small, lost in resentment. Instead, you've become bigger than their worst fears. Because once you forgive, once you truly let go, you become something terrifying to them, someone they can never reach again, someone who turned their cruelty into fuel and burned through every limitation they tried to place on you. This is why forgiveness is radical, because it flips their entire plan upside down. They thought they had the final say in your story, but you proved them wrong. You wrote your own ending. And now, as they watch you rise higher than they ever imagined, they have to live with the truth. Nothing they did could stop you. Nothing ever will. Number 12. Your story was never just yours. How to turn your pain into a revolution. What was done to you was never just about you. It was part of something much bigger, a sickness that has existed for generations. A system built to silence, to control, to strip people of their power before they even realize they have it. But here's the part they never saw coming. You survived. And now, your survival is the very thing that threatens everything they stood for. Your story is not just pain, it's proof. Proof that no matter how much they tried to break you, they failed. Proof that the worst they threw at you wasn't enough to keep you down. And when you speak your truth, when you refuse to stay silent, you don't just heal yourself. You light the path for others. There are people right now, trapped in the same darkness you once fought through, thinking they're alone, thinking they're weak, thinking they don't have a way out. But then they see you, still standing, still fighting, still rising, and suddenly they realize something they were never supposed to know. If you can survive, they can too. That's why your story is dangerous. That's why they tried so hard to silence you. Because the moment one person breaks free, the whole system starts to shake. Every time you share what was done to you, you expose the truth they worked so hard to hide. You break the illusion. You remind others of their strength, and the more people wake up, the more impossible it becomes for them to keep control. They thought your suffering would make you weak, but instead, it became your greatest weapon. Pain turned into power. Silence turned into a movement. Every scar, every betrayal, every time they tried to make you feel small, it all led you here. To a place where you are no longer just a survivor, and no matter how hard they try, they can never take that from you. And so, here we are. After everything they did, after every attempt to break you, you're still standing. Not just standing, rising. They wanted you silent, but now your voice is louder than ever. They wanted you forgotten, but your story is becoming unstoppable. The truth is simple. They never had power over you. If this message resonates with you, if you feel the fire of resilience in your soul, then don't walk this journey alone. Subscribe, like, and be part of this movement. Together, we turn pain into power and setbacks into revolutions. Your rise has just begun.